Suicide Squad Isekai Episode 2. So, in the last episode, the Suicide Squad got isekai to a fantasy world where they fought some orcs and then they got kidnapped by a bunch of humanoids. So, in the last episode, I referred to them as elves, but here we see humans as well. But we also see these other humanoid looking creatures that kind of look like dwarves. I'll get to them later on when they pop up. So my guess is that it's basically a kingdom of like humanoids. So you got your elves, your humans, your dwarves, possibly halflings or whatever if we see them later on, versus like your orcs and your monstrous looking creatures. So I'm just going to call it the kingdom of humanoids. We start off this episode with the queen of the humanoids, and she's in this carriage and she's being led through a town on her way towards her kingdom. And we see that the town is absolutely just awful. Everybody's poor, everybody's weak, people are fighting each other for any scraps of food that they can get. And the queen doesn't seem to care about this at all. And so we cut to a meeting room where we basically have all the nobles of this kingdom, and they're basically discussing their latest victory over the orcs. We have one person, his name is Cecil. He's the hero in this world. So I'm sure anyone who's familiar with isekai, you always have your hero character. For those of you who aren't familiar with isekais, basically you have your main character who gets transported to another world, usually by dying, but not always. But usually like they get hit by a car or a truck or something. That's where the whole like truck-kun memes come from. And in this new world, they are usually the hero, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's another character who's the hero. And the hero is basically a person who's been designated by the world's god or goddess to slay the Demon King. And so Cecil is the hero in this isekai world, and he has like the legendary armor and stuff. But Cecil actually lives up to his name of being a hero in the sense that he's like, hey, we should be doing something to help our people. Like right now, like I think the queen and stuff, they want to give all the food that they have to the nobles as well as the soldiers. But they're like, that's fine, but we can't just ignore our civilians as well. Like they are dying because they have nothing. And so the nobles are like, nah, like screw that. Like we're not doing that. Even the queen is like against it. Like the queen's basically a see you next Tuesday. And as they're like discussing this, we see the princess. And the princess is actually the opposite of her mother. The princess actually wants to help her people, but no one wants to listen to her. And so they eventually discuss, like, what should we do with the people from another world, like the mysterious group that showed up. And they say, right now they're in prison. Should we do anything about them? And the queen's like, nah, just leave them there. We don't need their help. And the princess looks at that and she gets fascinated by Harley. If this was like a Western media made a show, I would guess that there would be some kind of Yuri bait going on there. Maybe there still will be. But she's fascinated with the group, specifically Harley, and she wants to like talk to them. And so we cut to later on where the princess is in her room and she's just using these magical binoculars to watch over her people. And she sees like even kids fighting each other over a loaf of bread. Like this is how bad things are. And Cecil eventually comes in and says, hey, you wanted to talk to me? And he notices that there's food left on her table. Like the princess has refused to eat because her people aren't eating. And even Cecil is like, hey, you going hungry isn't going to help our people. Like you refusing to eat doesn't put food on their table. So eat. We're going to need you if we want to change this kingdom, basically. And she basically tells Cecil that she wants to see the girl and the mysterious people, basically Harley and them. And then that's when we get the intro for this series. So there was no like intro opening in the first episode. There is one here, and it's cool. Like I love it. Like the music is just really, really good. Ending is way better for reasons I'll get to later on. But yeah, this is a pretty cool opening. But we see Harley, she's inside an interrogation room and she's chained. And we basically have two guards who are like, interrogating her. And they are basically talking about how she used to be a psychiatrist at Arkham. and how she fell in love with Joker and became his woman, and basically like what kind of loser does that? Did you think you were going to be some kind of heroine in a rom-com or something? They're basically like poking fun at her and laughing at her. And then she taunts them by saying, "What about you? You guys are just a bunch of guards. Did you flunk out of officer school? Because only a bunch of failures would become prison guards." And they get pissed off and they start tasing her when all of a sudden Joker appears. And then Harley wakes up. It turns out this is just a dream and that they are inside the prison in this fantasy world. We see Peacemaker, and he basically discusses, hey, got a bomb in our neck still, and I've been keeping track of how long we have, and he's been keeping track to like the second, so he knows the exact time they have left before the bomb goes off. And he tells them that we only have 60 hours left before we need this bomb to get reset, otherwise we're gonna die. And then that's when Clayface, who, for anyone who's not familiar with Clayface, he's like a former actor and stuff. He's knowledgeable on the world of Isekai. Like, he's knowledgeable about the tropes and stuff. Because I guess since he's an actor, he's familiar with like writing tropes and things. Which, as someone who's actually a screenwriter, let me tell you that no actors are usually not familiar with the writing tropes and stuff like that. I mean, you got some actors out there that are. Then you got others that are like very stupid. Like, outside of reading a script and being able to emote the scenes, they are not people you want to go to for any kind of help. But yeah, Clayface basically discusses about the fact that, we're people from another world. They should be seeing us as heroes since we fought off the Orcs and killed their king. And that, I'm going to go talk to the queen. Maybe there'll be a princess who'll come down to meet us and talk to us about how she needs our help to fight off the demon king and how we're going to fall in love. He basically sees himself as the protagonist of a isekai story. And everyone's just kind of looking at him like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, are you an idiot? And so Clayface is able to escape through the bars. So earlier, before, they were trying to, break through the bars, but they weren't able to. Even King Shark isn't able to break through these bars because they're magically infused. But Clayface, since he can turn into clay, he can just go literally right through the bars, kind of like the T-1000 does in Terminator 2. And so he does that, and he basically just discusses about how he's a hero. He's gonna help the local princess. He's gonna, they're gonna fall in love. And even he talks about how the trope of our protagonist abandoning his friends and having to sacrifice their lives to save the day. Oh, that's such a beautiful trope. And of course, the rest of the Suicide Squad's like, wait, why would you need to sacrifice this? Like, this is not an isekai story. Like, stop it. You're not the hero. And of course, the rest of the Suicide Squad's like pissed off at Clayface because they're like, this idiot thinks he's a hero in this fantasy story that he's made up where he's the hero from another world that's going to save the day and stuff. And since Clayface isn't going to let them escape, they grab him and basically call the guards. So the guards rush over, notice that Clayface is trying to escape, and they snatch on these magical handcuffs that basically keep him from being able to use his clay powers. So now he's kind of just stuck in this human form, and he's unable to use his powers. And so we cut to the Suicide Squad, and they're in the prison cafeteria where they're the only humans. Everyone else is a bunch of orc. And they're basically trying to discuss, like, okay, how are you going to get the hell out of here? We got to do something because we stay here, our bombs are going to go off. And then that's when this orc shows up with his goons. And the orc is basically, he runs like the inmates. Like, he's a prisoner himself, but he's like the top prisoner. Like, all the other prisoners take his lead. And he basically tells them, like, hey, you humans, you're sitting at my table. Get out of here before you cover it with your human stench. Like, you'll infect me with your weakness. And so Clayface, he's able to read the room, according to him. And he notices, okay, this guy is the leader. Everyone looks up to him. So why don't we just try to befriend this guy? And so he basically tries to befriend the orc and tells them, like, hey, I would like to pay my respects to you, You know, you're able to lead everybody here. That's very impressive. These humans here, they absolutely suck, don't they? Like they think they have like an air superiority. They like beating us up. They're a bunch of losers, aren't they? And of course, the orc doesn't like buy this. Like he's like, this human is an idiot. So he smacks Clayface and knocks him out. And then he reaches over for his bowl when Harley grabs it, drinks it, and then just throws it back in front of the orc. Basically, she just ate his meal in front of him. She's like challenging him. And of course, this pisses off the orc. So he goes to start fighting Harley when the rest of the Suicide Squad get involved. And basically, the Suicide Squad team up and they beat up the orc leader and his small group of henchmen. And that's when the guards rush in. And the guards, this is what I mean by the dwarves. The guards all look the same. They're kind of smaller than like the other humans that we've seen. So I'm assuming that all the guards here are dwarves. I could be wrong, but just the fact that they all have like the facial hair, they're all kind of small and they all look the same. I'm guessing that this is like a new like race of humanoids. I'm assuming they're dwarves. I'm just going to be calling them dwarves until this series tells me otherwise. But they rush in with these clubs that are magical, and they basically see the Suicide Squad posing on top of the unconscious bodies of the orcs. And so they use the magic from their clubs to create this like glyphs that crushes the Suicide Squad to the floor. And then they get thrown into another holding cell. This one's like even worse off, in worse conditions than the previous one. And while in there, they meet Rick Flag. So Rick Flag is an Argus soldier, and he reveals that the Suicide Squad is actually not the first group that was sent into this world. That Amanda Waller actually sent in a previous group, and Rick Flag was amongst that group. And something happened. He doesn't know where the rest of his people are, and he's been stranded here and locked up in this prison ever since. And he basically asked the Suicide Squad, like, you know, who's your leader? It's got to be like the second group, right? So it's got to be Katana that's leading you, right? And they're like, no, it was some guy named Adam or Eve or something like that. What happened to him? And they explained, well, he died in the helicopter crash. He's like, okay, well, we got to get out of here. And that's when they mention the bombs in their neck. And Peacemaker brings up the fact that they have now less than 60 hours. And they ask Rick Flag about it, and Rick Flag's confused. He's like, bombs, there shouldn't be any bombs. But then they explain that, yeah, like Amanda Waller put bombs in her necks. And he's like, oh, I guess Amanda Waller is like really serious about this. Well, like the whole reason that we're here is because of the resources. Like we go to war and we do all these things for like water and other minerals and resources that we can get. So imagine if we had the power to go into other worlds and take their resources, like the things that we can do with it. And not to mention the money that whoever controls the portals can make from this. So that's why there's this whole like portal and Isekai and sending people in, is because they're going to send people in to scout out the area and try to take the resources there. And then he mentions that, well, the thing on your neck, like there's got to be some kind of like radio frequency to be able to contact Waller and stuff to reset the bomb. If it would be anywhere, it would be in your helicopter. And Harley and Suicide Squad mentions, well, the helicopter crashed. It got smashed. So that's not going to work. So then Rick Flag's like, okay, well, if you help me escape, I can lead you to the gate that I came in through. And by the gate, the signal's got to be strong enough for you to be able to contact Amanda Waller and reset the timer. So since we can't go to the helicopter, help me escape. I'll take you to the gates, and then we can reset your timer so that you'll still stay alive. And at first, they don't really want to work with Rick Flag, but then they realize, okay, like we got to do this if we want to survive. And then that's when King Shark wakes up. So throughout this entire thing, King Shark has been sleeping. But he wakes up, he's hungry, he sees the Suicide Squad and Rick Flag, and he basically is going to eat them. When Rick Flag calls King Shark by his real name, and basically tells him, hey, you want food? Food's outside there. It's dinner time, and there's food waiting for you outside the door. And so King Shark goes to the door and he tries to open it, but it's not budging. And they basically like egg him on. They're like cheering him up, hyping him up. They're like, yeah, the door's unlocked, food's on the other side. You just gotta rip that thing open. and eventually he rips it open. And that's when a guard comes in. He goes to attack King Shark when Deadshot basically flicks a pebble at his head, causing him to drop his magical battering ram. Harley picks it up, and as she's swinging, like magic, flows through her into the battering ram, and she basically knocks the crap out of this guard. Like she sends him sailing into the ceiling, knocks him out, and she's like, "Holy crap! Like I'm more magically, like I feel stronger now." Clayface goes to the unconscious guard, takes the key, takes off his handcuffs, and then uses his powers to send a bunch of clay parts into all the other cells, and he unlocks them and frees a bunch of orcs. It basically explains, hey, like, let's join forces and let's take over this prison. And the orcs are like, all right, yeah, let's just freaking do that. Sure. And so we just have a fight where we have the Suicide Squad and a bunch of orcs teaming up to fight off all these dwarven guards. And throughout the entire thing, we have like music playing. We have them doing like weird poses. We have a scene where Clayface is basically like dancing, and as he's dancing, he's throwing off clay parts that are attacking the guards. And then we have like orcs behind him that are like dancing with them. It's really weird, very like highly stylized, but yeah, it's just kind of cool. They basically just run amok in this prison and just start beating up all the guards to the point where they end up taking over. And so we cut to Cecil, who is in a carriage, and he's basically having a flashback to his discussion with the princess about how she wants to meet up with the Suicide Squad and team up with them to help save her people, like to help bring the peasants and stuff up, because she's seeing that the way her mother's ruling now, it's not helping her people. And so Cecil has gone to the prison to go talk to the Suicide Squad, but when he shows up, he sees that it's been taken completely over. Like the Suicide Squad members and the orcs are all like partying it up and drinking booze and having a great time. All the guards are knocked out and defeated. And Rick Flag is like, we don't have time to be wasting on this crap. And then that's when the episode ends. And we get the ending music. First off, the ending music is cool. Second off, it's freaking weird, because we have like Suicide Squad members like dancing and posing and stuff. But the weird part is Amanda Waller. We have like Amanda Waller doing dances to the ending theme. And it's just so freaking weird. I'll show a little bit of it here. But yeah, that's episode 2. I liked it. I thought it was good. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with this series so far. Like the Suicide Squad members are awesome. They've managed to not make Harley Quinn annoying, which is freaking fantastic, because I'm actually a huge fan of Harley Quinn, but I love old school Harley Quinn. I love Harley Quinn from the animated series where she originally showed up. Like I like that version of Harley Quinn. I even like the Arkham Harley. Like I thought she was cool. I have a giant wall poster. It literally covers the entire wall of my office right in front of me over my desk of Arkham Harley. And I have some old school Harley like figurines that I've gotten from like Sideshow and stuff like that to the right of me right now. So I'm a huge fan of Harley, but I absolutely despise what they've done with her lately. I hate the fact that they keep trying to shove her down our throats, that they're basically turning her into DC's version of Deadpool. I get why people are absolutely hating on Harley lately, and I'm with you guys there. But I like this version of Harley. I think she's cool, she's badass, but she's also not super OP. Like there are times when the Suicide Squad members have to like help her out. She does get her butt kicked at times. So yeah, this is like I like this Harley. I like this King Shark, Peacemaker, Clayface. Like Clayface is freaking hilarious in this. He is just so delusional, and he is so like gung-ho about believing that he's the hero of this Isekai storyline, and so he's trying to like fill in those tropes, and he does that to the annoyance of everybody else. He's awesome. Deadshot's cool. Like all the characters here are just great. The animation's great. The fighting scenes are cool and very like stylistic. It's not just, you know, a realistic, gritty beat 'em up. It's them just doing crazy crap while music is playing, and we have like characters dancing in the middle of fights. We have Harley like tagging the prison walls as she's fighting with alongside some orcs. It's very, very weird and anime-ish. It's basically Suicide Squad getting shot with the Japanese beam meme. And that's what we get here, and it's fantastic. And yeah, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes, so we're going to do episode 3 tomorrow. And I hope you guys are there to watch it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.